A similar thing happened right now with President Trump threatening the Canadian auto industry, where we're now having to look at working with China because the American industry doesn't want to work with us anymore.
Oh God, can you just go away already? Right into the Coachella sunset with Katy Perry and just never do politics again? Because 10 years of damage was clearly not enough for him. He's coming for seconds. The American industries don't want to work with us. Dude, that's a lie. Especially since last week it was revealed that it's actually Canada that has cut ties with the trade delegation of the US.
No, actually, it's not an intense negotiation. Okay, there really have been no serious negotiations since October of last year. We want to resolve the disputes on steel. As a matter of fact, we had that pretty much resolved in October. And the Canadians blew that up.
And you know things are bad when boy wonder Justin Trudeau has to shill for China. It's definitely not helping Mark Carney's sell pitch to Canadians. After all, we've rejected Trudeau big time. But in a more dangerous and divided world, as he says, Canada is increasingly finding itself alone. So what is going on and who's to blame? My name is Ali Daniel and this is The Right Call. Like, share, subscribe. Any interactions on the channel helps push the truth out and maybe someday break that CBC-induced coma that so many Canadians are under. If you're tired of that same old government and media BS and finally want some common sense commentary, well then smash that subscribe button because you're in the right place.
And no country in the world buys more products and more goods off the US than Canada does, and vice versa. We're each other's number one customer, if you want to call it. That's the way it should be, because you see what's going on around the world. There's one country that stands shoulder to shoulder for the last 200 years with the US, and that's Canada. We love the Americans. I love the Americans, and I know Americans love us. I was down in Texas.
Dougie, why are you lying? Americans love us and we love Americans? You sure about that?
You sure about that?
Because the messaging has been quite the opposite now, and it has for roughly a year. And I mean, just looking at yourself in the mirror, aren't you the one who is refusing to put American liquor and alcohol products on the shelves of the LCBO? Really showing a gesture of love for Americans there, Doug. But why is the premier of a province taking care of foreign trade diplomacy? Where is our prime minister? Who in this federation is in charge of foreign affairs and diplomacy? Hello, paging Carney. You know, the liberal strategy for dealing with the US is getting worse, and Canada is progressively becoming more and more isolated in this world, and we're losing all of our cards for negotiation, all of our leverage, all of our partners, no matter what Carney and his gaslighting media does or says.
I think having some discipline on reminding folks how valuable it is. There really is no other choice. What I'll say is that the countries that are led by serious leaders, and I'll say President Sheinbaum is a serious leader in Mexico. When we came in and we were talking about...
This is Deputy U.S. Trade Representative Rick Swiltzer, who is torching Mark Carney and telling all of us that right now they're bypassing the entire NAFTA, CUSMA, USMCA process, and they're just going to negotiate directly with Mexico. Screw Canada. He's literally calling our leaders unserious, but he's praising President Sheinbaum of Mexico for, doing what a president does, negotiating and finding solutions instead of just snubbing, and complaining and attacking the other side, whom you're actually trying to get a trade deal with.
We came in and we were talking, Ambassador Greer was just there. We're talking to Mexico about this, and the president has spoken to, directly about this. They have been very serious. Look, we know the United States is our most important economic partner, that it is the policy of President Sheinbaum that the United States and Mexico will have a positive economic relationship, and that we know that we'll have some friction and we'll have to figure it out, but we're going to figure it out. Right.
And you see, that's the thing. It's normal for two countries to disagree. There will be friction. Both sides want to pull the cover to their side and get the best deal possible. But, at least Mexico and the US agree. There needs to be a deal and they will find a solution. There'll be concessions. Is that even what's happening with us in Canada right now? We're refusing to even sit down with them. We keep saying that, we're going to do some negotiation before July 1st, before the review period for USMCA. We have no dates. We have no concrete plan. What we do have, however, is a committee. We've created a committee to look at things. That's not serious. We don't need a committee. We already have what's called cabinet. Cabinet is the ministers, the government, the executive. They have the ability to negotiate for one, and they also have the power to execute on those negotiations for two. Why do we need a committee? I personally think it's just so that when the trade talks fail, because Canada is unserious, they're going to have someone to blame. They're going to blame it on the committee. It was the committee's recommendations. We followed them and they sucked and they weren't approved. And it takes away the blame from the Carney government. It's the biggest deflection scam It's the oldest trick in the book. It's deflection, and they won't take the blame for the downfall and the repercussion that happens to Canada.
This is the bottom line. There are other economies who decided to make it personal, and I think Carney has made it personal. I think it's political malpractice for the Prime Minister of a Canadian, of Canada to pit politically himself against any president. I don't care what the president is, who the president is, what party they represent. It's political malpractice. Canada is dependent upon the U.S. economy. That's just a fact, right? That's not hubris. That's not something that Canada needs to be concerned about. It's not something Canada can change, right? The fundamental fact is geography wins out. Canada is located where it's located. They can't move shop. They can have a weak economy that is underperforming and not doing well, and Carney can feel superior, or they can have an economy that participates as a partner of the U.S. economy, and Carney can do what a grown-up should do, which is figure it out, and come like President Sheinbaum and decide that the United States and Canada will have a positive economic relationship. It's my job as a person who's supposed to protect Canadian jobs, Canadian citizens, and the Canadian economy to not let my ego and my feelings dictate what's best for my own economy.
Ouch. Someone got called out. Apply cold water to the burn. But what he says does make sense. It's not about what Carney wants. It's about what Canada needs. And we do need a trade deal. See, the more I watch the way Carney's moving about with this whole US-Canada trade issue, the more I think Rick right here is definitely right. I can't explain Canada's current approach with anything rational or logical. But first, let me be clear, diversification is good. We should aim to make deals abroad with other nations and reduce our reliance on a single point of failure. I'm on board with that. It's only positive. But we have to take the world as it is, not as we wish it to be.
We take the world as it is, not as we wish it to be. That means the following.
So snubbing the country which we historically export upwards of 80% of our products to makes no logical sense at all. I mean, it's truly a blessing to have the US share the longest undefended border in the world with us, especially seeing how conjoined our two economies and supply chains are to each other. So logically, the posturing exhibited by Carney can only be explained by three rational conclusions. One, well, it is purely ego-driven. It's not far-fetched for a man like Carney and the positions he's held with total power over the departments and the agencies and the whatnot that he's had in the private and somewhat para-public sector and bank positions, to have this sense of superiority, like, it's his way or the highway. So I don't think it can be ruled out that it's purely an ego thing. Personally, I don't think it's purely this reason, though. Two, it's about power, but not power for Carney personally, or at least directly. It's the only way the Liberals have gained and clinged on to power over the last decade, thanks to manufactured fear. Antagonizing Canada versus the US has really stroked this national pride in the hearts of boomers and, to a lesser extent, younger generations. And it has allowed Carney to rise through the ranks of the Liberals like a magician just appeared out of nowhere and cling on to power. Heck, even steal a majority. Yes, steal. So continuing this fear-based rhetoric and this creation of a common enemy in the United States really helps him with this power consolidation. The more we hate the US, the more the Liberals rise. But ruling through hate and fear sadly doesn't feed mouths and definitely doesn't pay the bills. Or three, it's something much darker. I've been saying for a while that Carney and all of his best pals have deep ties with China. After all, China has offered Carney some very big financial concessions in the past with Brookfield. And China and the US are in a makeshift sort of Cold War right now. A wrestling match for the world's hegemony, effectively. And siding with China at the expense of the US, well, definitely helps in China's endeavor, irrespective of how much this all hurts Canada and Canadians in the process. After all, keep in mind that Carney is completely insulated and shielded from potential downfalls of a crumbling Canada. He has personally very little ties to the country, hasn't been in the country for decades before magically appearing here. His entire family has also been out of Canada for decades. And I predict that whenever he leaves office, whether that's in 3 years or in 3 decades, he won't be staying here. He won't. He'll sunset off into whichever other foreign nation that he loves. And it's clearly not going to be in Canada. And And so the world continues to move on. And while Mark Carney tells Canadians how bad the US is and cuddles up real close to China, the US and the EU just signed a critical minerals agreement to produce and secure critical mineral supply chains and pivot away from China. Signed today by Commissioner for Trade and Economic Security, Maros. I'm not going to pronounce this. Let me know in the comments how to pronounce this. This seems to be some form of Czech or Slovak name from my limited knowledge. And U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Washington, D.C., this MOU formalizes the EU-U.S. strategic partnership to build, secure, sustainable critical mineral supply chains. It foresees bilateral cooperation across the full value chain, spanning exploration, extraction, processing, refining, recycling, and recovery, while supporting innovation, investment, and geological mapping, as well as supply and demand side measures. You know what I've realized so far? Is that publicly every Western leader seems to oppose the US and Donald Trump for some reason, and it's probably because they've built this entire antagonistic narrative that they quite can't pull back from. But under the surface, they are pushed in a corner and secretly, or at least without fanfare, making deals with the US on everything from military to trade. You know, emotions and rhetorics don't trump facts. And the facts are, the US is by far the world's largest economy and consumer market at the tune of $19 trillion per year. You know, it's not something that can be ignored. The US is more than twice the size in terms of consumer markets than the European Union, and several orders of magnitude, almost 3 times the size, the one of China. Definitely bigger than India, Japan, Germany, United Kingdom. I mean, no one comes close to the US. So any economy that hopes to survive and hopefully thrive has to make a deal with the US. But sadly, it doesn't seem that Mark Carney got that memo. But in an ironic twist of fate, this new deal between the EU and the US might actually force Canada to trade with the US. Seeing as 57% of Canadians want to join the EU, according to Nanos, that would be sweet, sweet poetic justice. You know what? I'm in. For the poetic justice, that is, not for joining the EU. I have no desires whatsoever to have an unelected European Commission and president like Ursula von der Leyen making binding decisions on my country. No, thank you.
Something that is brand new is they're going to be having an acoustic detection device with gunshot detection, and that's real-time acoustic detection and rapid alerting. So they will be able to identify a gunshot versus a balloon bursting, etc.
Ooh, what's going on here? Is this Canada, or did I get lost in a chapter of 1984? There's no denying that crime has been increasing in Canada in ways that we have never seen before. But leave it to the government to utilize a crisis to increase surveillance and control on all of us, instead of, addressing the underlying issue, which we all know the root cause of. So what is actually happening here? So the Peel Regional Police deploy now what's called the Community Safety Response Platform. It's a visible investigative tool that may be used in residential and commercial areas to support police response to serious incidents based on identified risk and community needs. Each platform is equipped with an acoustic detection device with gunshot detection technology at a range of 500 meters, pan, tilt, zoom video, and an automated license plate reader. Well. To support real-time situational awareness and investigative response. These units are designed to quickly alert police following serious incidents and to provide officers with timely information to support response and investigation efforts. To note, and this is what's crazy, the Community Safety Response Platform is the first of its kind in Canada and North America, placing Peel Regional Police at the forefront of modern community-focused policing. Or maybe it's the first in North America because, Canada has been seeing a little bit of a change over the last decade. I'll let you guess why. It's a joke, we all know why. So instead of fixing the why, which I keep having to not mention because you gotta be careful on here, we are now deploying a bunch of, Big Brother-esque detection devices around the region so that we can respond quicker to the crime instead of, making sure that there's no crime in the first place. Prevention is better than treatment, correct? Any doctors would say so. And Lord knows that there's a lot of prevention that should be applied in the region. And what's better than visualizing it? I keep saying that there's crazy amounts of crime in Canada, and especially in our big cities, but people don't believe me for some reason. So how about you see it with your own eyes? This is a map from the crime occurrence mapping portal of the Peel Regional Police. They're so kind as to let us visualize how much we are being screwed by certain people. I put the date range, by the way, from April 2025 to April 2026. So it's a 1 year. Every little pin you see on this map is a crime that has happened in the last 1 year in the region of Mississauga, Brampton, the Peel region, okay, of the GTA. This is all the crime, by the way. You're seeing all the crimes in the book. Okay, so let's, maybe it's petty stuff, right? So let's go through it. Let's just look at assaults, just assaults. Oh, okay. Maybe we need to zoom in a bit. Ooh, that's just assaults. Now let's look at break and enters. Oh, okay. But, castle doctrine is not something we should have in Canada, so our elected officials say. However, it appears that it would be beneficial for a few people to Peel region. We're going to skip drug possession. That's boring. Drug trafficking. You know what? Drug trafficking, that's an important one. Possession, I don't care. Drug trafficking, okay. There's clearly a lot of trafficking happening, but it's clearly less than break and enters. Go figure. What about fraud? Oh, okay. Yeah, I was not expecting. I'm looking at this at the same time as you, by the way. I did not look at this before. Fraud, that's bad. Oh my God. Now I know where all those scam calls I get for CRA and Canada Post come from. Ooh, now let's look at homicide. That's bad. That's okay. Whew, luckily, there's only been a few. I mean, that's the point we're at now. We're so happy with just a few. It should be zero. It should be zero, all right? Robbery. Let's look at robbery. Okay, that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. And finally, vehicle theft. Ow! God. Okay. Yeah. Remind me never to park in Brampton or Mississauga. Jesus. Look, immigration was never a contentious issue in Canada. We had the best immigration system in the world, literally the world's envy. It worked on a merit-based system. You were allocated certain points for your education, your job experience, your wealth, your background, your skills, your family ties, etc. We wanted the best because the best contributed positively to our society. And Canada grew and became better for it. We helped these people become Canadian, and they in turn provided tremendous value to our society. It was a mutually beneficial arrangement.
Guest workers were meant to do. Guest workers were meant to provide additional revenue for the province, and they were also meant to fill gaps that couldn't be filled by Alberta workers or Canadian workers. And I think we've gotten quite a far way from that kind of approach, especially when we look at the dollars. We did a rough calculation of what guest workers and their families cost our system, and it's about a minimum of $400 million when we look at ER and doctor visits as well as surgeries. There were 35,000 visits in the 2024 year that we looked at. That may be higher in 2025. We have 45,544 children of temporary workers who are in our education system. That's another 600 million. Social services like childcare subsidy, Alberta Child and Family Benefits, student aid, we estimate will cost $100 million of temporary residence. So we're well over $1 billion in cost. And yet in that same year, those same temporary workers generated $150 million in tax revenue. And that's not how it's supposed to work. We're actually supposed to generate more revenue than the cost associated with supporting those workers.
But now it's gone to the opposite side. The Liberals dropped the merit-based approach and cranked up the floodgates wide open to a point where the contribution to Canada became negative through increase in crime, through the breakdown of domestic culture, through the erosion of social cohesion, and through a massive cost on the economy. This is one of my favorite studies ever commissioned on studying the economic impact of immigration based on which country, which region in the world the immigrants come from. And it looks at the net economic result of said immigration. Is it a net cost to society or is it a net benefit on society? And by the way, for the people who want to know, this is IZA, Institute of Labor Economics. And it was initiated by the Deutsche Post Foundation and it was commissioned in the Netherlands. So every statistics here is based on the Netherlands, but it's safe to assume that what is good for the Netherlands is similar to Canada. I don't think we live in completely different realities here. Now, this is something that everyone in the Western world should see. It's a map that showcases whether someone is a positive or a negative contributor in their lifetime to the economy of the Netherlands based on where they originated from. If your country is in the blue, the green, the yellow, anything that is yellow and above, you're either costing nothing to the Netherlands if you move there, or you are positively contributing to the society. So you are a net benefit for the Dutch society. If you look right here, Canada, the US, all of Scandinavian countries, the UK, Iceland, Ireland, pretty much any European nation, Western European and Central European, if you move to the Netherlands, you are a net contributor. You bring value to their economy. You don't cost anything. You produce more than you take. The same applies, by the way, for South Africa, for countries in, Oceania, so Australia, New Zealand, even Japan, all net positive contributors. But sadly, there's a lot of countries that are not net contributors. Rather, they are net drains on society. So let me highlight some of them. So for example, newcomers from Latin America, especially here the Caribbeans, are going to be a net drag, a net cost on Dutch society at the tune of roughly almost 200,000 euros in their lifetime. The new arrivals from Somalia, Ethiopia, Eritrea, especially many of them are asylum seekers, well, their negative net contribution, aka their net cost to society after an entire life, will have been 315,000 euros. That is a huge drain. Compare and contrast again to cases for Japan, France, Switzerland, Scandinavia, and the Anglo-Saxon countries like North America, which contribute to Dutch society after a life over 200,000 euros, 210,000 euros to be exact. Even Central and Eastern European countries like Romania, Bulgaria, Poland, and the Baltic state cost a net 40 to 50,000, aka they add 40 to 50,000 euros to the society after an entire life. None of this is meant to disparage the individuals themselves. But the reality is that based on education, based on culture, based on social habits, certain areas clearly produce more, are more productive in their economic output than others. So it begs the question, should Canada focus on bringing immigrants? Because we do need immigrants. There's nothing wrong with them. But from certain countries that would be a net benefit to the Canadian economy, or should we continue to bring in from areas that continuously end up costing Canadians money? Now, speaking of things that cost Canadians money, we got the Globe and Mail here. They're definitely getting the subsidies for the media. Thank you, Liberal government. So on today's crazy Liberal Take of the Day, we have an opinion piece from the Globe and Mail saying that how young women are radicalized into hating men. I think this is a very important topic, a very important question to be asking. And here I am thinking, could it be actual self-awareness coming from the Globe and Mail? I mean, talking about one of the most pressing social issue of our generation, how our two genders have been completely antagonized against one another, and it's definitely hurting our fertility rate and our pair bonding and marriage rates and just overall life satisfaction. People are unhappy, people are more lonely, there's the loneliness epidemic we talk about. Social media definitely plays a role in this, but I mean, could it also be because, half the society has been radicalized into hating the other one? Could it be? Nah, who am I kidding? Look at what I just found here. This is, a bunch of articles from the Globe and Mail. Here's one. Masculinity is toxic. Men don't have to be. Okay, next one. Do you know how to identify a toxic man? They ask. Here's another article. Men must become gender partners at work to help women. Here's another one. 3 books take different approaches to addressing toxic masculinity. I had such high hopes for you. Such high hopes, Globe and Mail. I thought you might have found the reason why. Nope. The reason why is just you guys. You guys just push this narrative and antagonize our two genders against one another. I mean, if this is not proof, point in case, I don't know what is. And this is why I have an issue with the media. Not only do they not ask the right questions, but they just antagonize everything. Speaking of not asking the right questions, why isn't the media asking about our brand new $200 million spaceport in Nova Scotia? If you want to know all about this insane, ludicrous, just far-fetched and ridiculous expenditure and what it actually looks like, click in a video right here. You're gonna laugh. I can't believe it. You just won't believe it. There's no way. But for the time being, I'm gonna go enjoy my weekend. My name is Elliot Dango, and may I add, if you've made it all the way to the end of the video, guys, I have a Patreon. I'm looking for a little bit of support from the people that actually see value in this. If you've enjoyed it, this commentary, and you enjoy what I do, and you want more of it, then you know what? It takes time. It costs money. And a small little $8 a month can go a long way. So if you see value, guys, don't hesitate to support. Just don't end up going to the food bank because that was your last $8. I know times are tough in Canada, believe me. But anyways, guys, for the time being, enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you guys next week.